Hi everyone, it's Stephanie again, and this is Module 7 with ICM 522, and this is our social media strategy. This is a joint project between Krista Meyers and I, and again I'll do the first part of the presentation since we're working on the same community this week. I'll do the people and personas for our community, and then Krista will work up on the goals and objectives and do the last part of the presentation and wrap up our analysis. So let's get started. Just a reminder of the community that we're looking at. It's the Internet Keep Safe Coalition, and that's at ikeepsafe.org. It's a nonprofit that began in 2005. That's their vision statement there. Their mission is to provide resources so that they can achieve that vision, which is that generations of the world's children grow up safely using technology and the internet. They are involved in a number of different interests, including cyberbullying, which they've been interested in a lot lately. There's been a little blip of interest in that in traditional media, but also digital citizenship, which is teaching the skills that we all need to be good citizens in the social web. Their overall interests, though, predominantly are about prevention and detection, and they follow anything that fits in that realm. Their members tend to fall in these categories. When they began, they had 100 key members in these groups, and they've stayed pretty much identified in these groups. They are professionals, parents, educators, youth, faith-based communities, business and government partners. They further break down those professionals as representatives of media, psychologists, cybersecurity professionals, law enforcement and legal professionals, and public health professionals. So typical members are usually parents, educators, and professionals. Those are those top three groups there. We did look at the social technographics ladder and Gladwell's categories to further get information about some of the key players in the community. The creator of the community is actually still involved on the board of directors. It's Jacqueline Levitt, who is the founder. She's a former First Lady and school teacher who was a child's advocate for a long time, and she's very instrumental still in creating a lot of the curriculum that they use. So she's a creator and still very involved there. But she's not very visible. The person that you see the most is Marcella Hancock. She's definitely the face of the organization, and she's out there. Jacqueline Levitt used to be much more so. Marcella Hancock is right now. And she's definitely involved with the UN and a number of different really high-level, high-profile things. Diana Grabber is another one. She's a partner and a founder with another organization, CyberWise, but is very heavily involved with iKeepSafe, and furthers that by continuing to cross-tweet and cross-promote things. So she's very well known as a leader in this arena, so we thought she was a Megan as well. There are a number of connectors and very interesting ones. Katie Greer is on the advisory board and is frequently sharing information. And though we thought she was a connector at this stage of the game, we think she might be moving up in Maven status because she's obviously holding and carrying a lot of the information for the organization. There are a couple of teachers heavily involved in this. Daniel Kent is one who is a real teacher advocate, and he has a ton of followers who are definitely retweeting. The other one there to the right is Elizabeth Calhoun. She's a Google certified teacher who works with Google on their education efforts, and when she posts, man, a lot of people listen, and she's working directly with the iKeepSafe CEO on some curriculum as well. An interesting connector here is App Certain, an app that was created that helps families manage and understand mobile devices, and there's a really interesting cross-promotion effort going on with those business partners that iKeepSafe has, so that's a connector as well. There are critics. They were hard to find, nearly invisible, I would say, because quite frankly, this group's critics are unseemly and pretty invisible you might imagine. They're online predators and they're cyberbullies, people who would oppose what they're doing, hackers. We did find people who were professional trainers in this line of work, and they oppose the fact that I Keep Safe sort of empowers others to do this type of training, and they opposed that. So that was pretty much the only kind of critic we found out in the blogosphere. So generally, and this is their founder there with their faux pas character that they have, generally their members work in education, cybersecurity, or law enforcement. They're married with 2 children, usually teenagers or older. They're concerned with children's safety, and it's very altruistic. They want to do the right thing. The demographics of this group skew female, although the law enforcement people involved in this are male typically. The age is between 45 and 60. It's a little older. The dual household income. They do tend to be married, but the income does vary pretty wildly from these political appointees to not such a high income. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but it takes all kinds and all types of people are interested in children's safety online. They skew suburban, they're computer savvy, they shop online, and they do tend to be conservative. So one of the things Kristen and I noticed is that they have a pretty active blog, but there's no comments here. And the reason that there are no comments is that when you try to submit a comment, it goes directly to an email that goes to someone in corporate. So their blog is not an interactive blog. So where they're generally talking is on Twitter. And you'll see here real quickly, I just want to show you that they're talking not only to themselves but to a lot of their partners, and there was their CEO they're posting. So they have there she is, Marcella Hancock. So they do have a very active Twitter site, and also they have a pretty active Facebook site where they do a lot of questions and answers, where they are running lots of little competitions about things and want to know the answers to quizzes. So they're mostly active on Facebook and Twitter. So if we wanted to start a conversation with them, one of the things we talked about was that it would probably be on Twitter, because that's where most of them are. And it would probably need to be something about a current news event, because they do tend to take advantage of that on their blog. They'll write a blog about that and then tweet about it. For example, they did talk about the LA, this Why Are We Freaking Out blog is about the LA Unified School Districts when the students overrode the security on the iPad. So they do write about current events and then blog about it to take advantage of that, and then tweet it and get the news out there and get some coverage in mainstream media, which I think is really good that they do that. So if we were going to get their attention, we would likely do it that way. And one of the ways to do that right now maybe would be to talk about Facebook's new security changes so that your profile is searchable, and what's their take on that, and what would they recommend you do about that. So now I think Krista's going to take you through the O and the S, right, Krista?
Hello, and thank you, Stephanie. So now that you know all of the people that are involved in our community, the connectors, the mavens, the creators, the critics, let's get started on the O and S of our P.O.S.T strategy for the I Keep Safe community. The O obviously stands for objective, and we do have 3 goals. The first one being listening. We really want to listen to the concerns and buzz of the community, along with monitor their social trends. The second one is talking. Now, this is a goal because obviously from the reading, we learned, and it's kind of commonsensical, that listening leads to talking. This is the communication problem that we're trying to solve, because they have multiple sets of customers, a wide array of products and services available, and we believe we can solve this problem with blog posts, because This can address different things at different times, and it can get you featured in the mainstream media as well. The third objective is energize. Now, this is definitely an emotional issue because anytime you have kids involved, it's going to get emotional. So what we would do is we'd recommend that they bring on the additional staff needed to have a moderated blog post to keep the conversations flowing on their website. And as you've seen earlier with Stephanie showing you their blog post, it does not allow for two-way communication. They basically post things on there and then it gets sent out to Twitter and possibly Facebook, where the majority of the conversations do take place. So we'd like to see that. We'd also like them to make their ratings from all the events and training sessions that they do public and available for reviews and comments. Along with that, we'd like to see some weekly newsletters going out to all of their fans that direct them back to their social media platforms along with their blog. So that is the O part. Now moving on to the S part. This is what we hope to achieve. Now, number one, we want the community to be better connected because that's going to allow for the conversation to flow both ways, and that obviously ties back to talking. Number two, this kind of ties back to energize. If there were additional staff on board to facilitate moderated blog posts, the conversations would be not only dynamic, but they would actually exist on the blog, which we both think is key. Also, if the ratings from their events and training sessions were made public, weekly newsletters were implemented, this would allow for a much greater level of awareness within the community. And then finally, to get better informed about current concerns within the community, this ties back to listening. When you monitor the social platforms and trends, you're able to see the key influencers, special events and training sessions, along with the spikes in interest that surround them. And some of these things are formed around the I Keep Safe community holidays, like, for instance, the month of October. It's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, or NCSAM for short. So we think it would be key to listen in, monitor the buzz around these events in particular to see where the chatter is and, more importantly, where it's not and where it can be implemented a little bit more. We've done a lot of work on this community, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. And Stephanie and I can't wait to get this strategy implemented. Thank you very much.